Can you see the whole screen? Say yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Up and running. Welcome in session 7. This is Capture Leads with Open Houses. If you got to escape, this will be uploaded eventually. I'm not making it sometime before 2035. This will be online. So let's get into it. We'll continue with session 8 and 9 on Wednesday and Friday of this week. Open houses, which are back, which is good. I think people got away from them. They were huge during COVID because it was a way that you could bring people through one at a time with a deli number. I know agents that went and bought actual deli ticket number machines from stores or found them online, and that's how they were doing it because you were having one family or one group in at a time. They're definitely back. They're mobbed again, which should tell you everything you need to know about the market right now. We just need more active listings. The market is in a really good place, a really good place. So we're in the lead generation pillar right now. We're doing open houses Wednesday. We'll talk about social media and then capturing more leads in general on Friday. So if you've got your phone, there's the thing to get the digital workbook. If you're impressed by all this, I assure you I didn't do it. You can thank Zoe. She actually took Ignite and ripped it to shreds and made it ours, which is amazing. So we cleaned it up and we made everything digital for you guys. So you don't have to go online and look for the workbook. You can just download it. So we're going to talk about open houses, best practices, preparing, prospecting, pursuing, and then we'll do the recap. Gary says, nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have. They who have the leads have the business. They who have the listings have the money. No judgment there. If you have leads, you've got business. You're controlling your business. If you have listings, you are controlling your money. Dispelling limiting beliefs. I don't have a listing to hold open. Okay, what could you do in the environment to find somebody that you could work with? If you're on a team, your team has listings. If you're not on a team and you need a listing to hold open, or you'd like to hold a listing open, I would always remind you guys it's a great idea to simply reach out. I'd go on Facebook, or if you have a great relationship with a veteran agent, you know they have listings, you can reach out to them directly. But if you go on Facebook and simply ask, does anybody have an open house this weekend, and I know it's Monday, this weekend that I could shadow so I could learn your standard, so I could hold one open for you in the future. Here's why I say that. We have a lot of veteran agents who will ask you to do the 7th level open house in Shift. There's page 71 in Shift is the 7th level open house, which is a great tool because it shows you all the things you could do to make your open house amazeballs. The problem with most open houses, here comes a whole bunch of judgment. The problem with most open houses is we throw it together Thursday night, Friday morning for Saturday, not enough time. We make a flyer for it and put it on MySpace. Nobody cares. And then we show up at our open house with 3 balloons, 4 stale cookies, and we lean on the kitchen island and we play Candy Crush. And we can't believe nobody showed up. So we're going to talk about things we can do to ensure attendance. But again, if you don't have a listing to hold open, jump on Facebook and just simply ask a question. I'd love to do an open house. Does anyone have one coming up this weekend that I can shadow so I can learn your standards so I can hold one open for you in the future? No one should be asking you to do a 7th level open house if they don't actually do a 7th level open house. And you'll have some veteran agents that will actually have bullet points of what they expect you to do, and you'll have to sign off on it. And I respect that because that's their standard. You don't have signs yet. Somebody in the market center would be able to let you borrow open house signs. If you're doing one for a veteran agent or your team, I trust there's open house signs. Don't let that be a barrier to you not doing one. I may not know the answers to the questions visitors have. Well, this is, if you're going to do one for your team, I trust your rainmaker is going to take you through the house, point out all the idiosyncrasies, And they're going to tell you as much as they can possibly think in the moment to tell you. There may be a question that gets asked that you don't have the answer for. It's inevitable. I think we're in Barrington and I was holding one open. And this is when JV and I were taking over Nate's business. And literally, I joke about this, but it actually happened to me. Somebody actually asked, hey, I heard there's an, can't even say without laughing. I heard there was an Indian burial ground off the back of this property. And I was just like, I wanted to be like, I don't know, but I didn't say that. And I always tell you guys, don't say, I don't know. I said, hey, that's a really interesting question. Let me check into that for you. And I texted JV and I said, do we have any intel on an Indian burial ground? I mean, we're in New England. I'd say throughout the entire country, there could be bodies anywhere, which sounds very mafioso, but there it is. So in the grand scheme of things, not really sure. Great question. Let me look into that for you. And you can call and text the team or the agent and find out. You're never going to know all the things about a specific property. But in prepping for an open house, make sure if you're doing it on your own that you get a run through with the agent who has the listing. So you know about all the things that they know of. There's always going to be a question that you don't have the answer to. Open houses don't really work because most people look online. Sure, people look online, absolutely. The moment you walk into a property, and if you've ever rented, leased, or purchased a home or an apartment, you have that feeling when you walk in, you know, this is going to be ours. This is what I was picturing. And nothing's going to get people into the mindset of purchasing more than stepping into the actual property. Open houses do work when we work our open houses and we make them a no-brainer, when we make them events. I joked with you guys about calling them property premieres and listing launches. And I think that's a great idea. And I hope somebody steals that. But I know a few agents have done it here and there. I just think stop calling them open houses. Sounds like everybody else's. And listing launch and property premiere means, yeah, you just put it on Thursday and it's Saturday. I get that. You can't use it on every open house. If you do a great job with your listing and it's priced right, you probably don't need to do more than one open house. Just saying. You guys see this online all the time. Open house canceled, we're under contract. They're not under contract because they're overpriced. I'll tell you that much. I won't feel safe. Completely appreciate that. If it's a larger property and you want the people coming through the property to feel heard and cared for, you should have more than one person. Absolutely. And no one, listen, you can bring a partner or a spouse to an open house. They can't say anything, but they can be there with you. Just like an unlicensed assistant, they can't say anything either. Could you get your lender to do it? Sure. Bradley's going to be jammed up most weekends because he's got 57 kids. I'm joking, there's only 3, but there's a lot of sports going on. But if you're doing an afternoon broker open house, or just even an afternoon open house, if you're doing that commuter open house, that company that has a lot of new people getting hired, and you have a property right nearby, I would hold it open between 4 and 6. Remind them how close they could be to work. Sometimes people don't want to be that close to work. But if it only takes me 10 minutes to get to work as opposed to 45, maybe that's important to them. Always bring somebody with you. The lender's a great idea, because if you can have Brad in the building with you, or somebody from Brad's team in the building with you, when somebody says, oh, we don't really even know if we're ready to get started. Okay, what do? You have them sit with Brad and run their numbers. At least they'll know. And when you do an open house, especially if the weather's great, at the very least, even if it's cold out, unlock all the doors. So you have egress to leave. If the weather is great and you don't have a bug situation, maybe leave some stuff ajar. If you ever feel like somebody showed up at your open house and you're alone and you don't feel great, if it's during the week or the weekend, Jump on Facebook, text one of us. You can text anybody, text your team. Hey, I've got somebody that's just arrived. They're milling about. I don't feel safe. There's 668 fellow agents milling about the seacoast. If I knew I was near somebody that didn't feel safe, even if I'm out with my family, it takes me no time to shoot over there and walk in. And there's a ton of us. We'd all be willing to do it. So if you don't feel safe, man up to start with. Make sure you have other people going with you initially, and especially on our larger properties. It makes sense to have people on different floors. Not to be hovering, but to make people feel seen and heard so you can answer questions if they have questions. Who benefits? Of course, the sellers do, right? And this is really funny. When we hold an open house, and this is at least my perspective, when we're holding an open house, I know that the sellers feel as if we're doing that to make sure we're finding a buyer. That's our job, right? To find them buyers. More importantly, we're looking for sellers. 50% of the people marching around looking at houses, going to open houses, probably have something to sell. So we're asking that question. What brings you here today? Are you working with anybody? Because we want them to feel safe to fill out that hit sheet. Their name, their number, their email, and the agent they're working with. Awesome. I see you're working with Allison. If you have any questions, let me know. I can certainly get the information over to her. Because as soon as we know another agent's involved, we always deal with that agent. We never cross the line and deal directly with the consumer. The other agents will appreciate the hell out of that. Also, the best phone call you can get as an agent working with buyers that are well educated is the one from your fellow agent that says, hey, Allison, the Lindsays just popped through this afternoon. You gave them a stack of your business cards. They wrote down all the information. They really seem to like it. Can you let me know if they have more questions or would like a private showing? That is the greatest phone call to make. That's when you've done a really good job educating your buyers. So of course it benefits the sellers and the buyers, the neighbors as well. They get a chance if they want to pick their new neighbor. And of course it benefits you, the agent. Depends on what level event you're putting together. One sign, 3 balloons, 4 cookies, a flyer late Friday night on Facebook is not going to do the trick. The 7th level open house, and we're going to talk about it today to an extent. You could spend your entire week prepping for your open house. This could turn into your one thing, as Gary would say. And this could start to snowball into the thing that gets you your next listing, your next listing, your next listing. All we do is create open houses that get us our next great open house. Massive opportunity. So what are the benefits? Well, it's inexpensive. You've got the stuff. Maybe there's some investment. If you've got Allied Resources, they can do the cookies. They can bring the water. The balloons are a business expense. If you're a balloon person, some people aren't balloon people. It's fine. It's a prospecting tool. You get to sit in a piece of your marketing and continue prospecting. I'll say that again. You get to sit inside a piece of your marketing and continue prospecting. There's a high return on investment. Subconsciously, the people coming to the open house don't even know that they're subconsciously interviewing you. But if you do a great job, they're walking away saying, I don't know who that was. Well, I guess his name was Tim. What a great job. That felt so different. I don't know what it was. All the information was there. Didn't seem pushy. Had a whole bunch of people. And you get qualified leads. People do open houses, get all these people to fill out all this information. And one of the blessings, we've had very few blessings from COVID. This is one of them, for sure. You have an opportunity to say to the people, out of respect to the sellers, could everybody please fill out their information? Now, we used to be able to say, just in case we need to contact you. If anybody who came through turns out to be under the weather. That's not really a thing anymore, as it were, but we can absolutely say out of courtesy to our sellers, they've asked that everybody fills out this sheet. And again, I know people get pushy on that. I would have had no problem writing down Tim and Ginny and Lindsay and my cell and my email and writing down Barbara Mosca, who we worked with out of our market center before I got here. I wouldn't have been insulted that they wanted me to write stuff down. And I know everybody's different. It shouldn't be an issue. You could also make it a non-starter if people don't want to fill out. But once you have all that information, why are you not getting back in touch with them? Now be purposeful. What's the goal of the open house? Let's set some goals. I would love to do a great job. I would love to get 20 groups through. I don't know what your number is. Maybe the goal, maybe the long goal is I would love to get another listing out of this. I would love to get great feedback. Think about the goals you want to set. Why am I doing the open house? Not just to chronologically satisfy the sellers. I told them I'd do an open house. I have to be here for 2 hours. You're going to spend time away from your loved ones on the weekend. Make it friggin' count. Pick the house. Do you have a listing in your inventory you could use? Above and beyond that, is there a listing that somebody at our market center has in a neighborhood that you'd like to take over? Is there a listing that somebody has near a FSBO that you would like to capture? So you can call that FSBO and say you're holding the house open. And you'd love to send people down to their house if the house you're holding open isn't a fit. My whole FSBO cell. Because then invariably they don't hold their house open, and then you can talk to them about the fact that you can hold it open for them next week if they're willing to list with you today. Some people, in the form of an open house, have a speaker at some point, and this works in different properties. Think of a lake property that's not currently occupied, or if your seller's willing to do it and they've got enough space, you can invite 12 people or a handful of people or a bunch of people and have a speaker there. Talk about investing, inspector, lender. Game plan what you're going to do that day. How you're going to engage with people. And if you're sitting there and like a day like today, where it's overcast and cooler and rainy, and no matter how good a job you did, you're fearful the weather might drive people away. What I can tell you is if they love it in the rain, they're going to adore it in the sunshine. And above and beyond that, bring your computer with you and do some work. If you sit there waiting for people to come through the door, they won't. It's Murphy's Law. Bring your computer, do some work at the kitchen island while people are arriving. If you get no work done because you're busy talking to people, it worked. Murphy's Law, absolutely. Pick the time and be strategic about this. Is it a Thursday night happy hour? Are you trying to do that commuter open house to remind them this house is so much closer to Liberty Mutual than where they currently live? Are you doing a wine and cheese? Is it Passover or Easter and you're doing cookies and eggs? I don't know. Is it Sunday afternoon because that neighborhood is right near all the soccer fields and soccer season or baseball season right now? And there's gonna be a ton of people driving by for youth athletics. And it's the type of house that somebody would move into because they have more short people. It's a move up house. If it's appropriately placed near a house of worship, And you're gonna get a ton of people going back and forth because of church. Super predominant in our Jewish communities, because in the Jewish faith, you walk to temple. So if you have a house closer to temple, that makes a ton of sense. So think about where your property is, pick the appropriate time to capture more interest. Know your market, prepare the stats. Have information about what's going on around you. Have other houses that are listed around you, especially yours. If you're having an open house at one of your 7 listings, the other 6 listings should have information in that house. Now, sometimes your sellers get worked up. And I'm like, why are you going to have all this other information about other houses here? Well, Mr. Lindsay, we know that when people come through, the probability that this house is going to be their home, the percentages are small. What you need to understand, Mr. Lindsay, is your house is at the other 6 houses as well. The power of our team, the power of our inventory is we're cross-pollinating all of our buyers and sellers. Be safe. Let's go back to this. This is right up there with door knocking too. Please, 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 please. Use the buddy system. There should be somebody else with you. Is it a lender? Maybe. Is it another allied resource? Can it be a spouse or a loved one? Sure. If they're unlicensed, they can't talk, but they can certainly be there with you. Anybody ask them a question about the property, they have to say, I'm merely working with Ken. I'm going to send you over here so he can answer your question. Arrive early. Get the house open, get doors unlocked. Make sure there's several paths of egress to exit the building if there is something weird going on. You park on the street, never the driveway. Want the driveway to be wide open so people can see. Now, some civilians might come in and park in the driveway. That's one thing. Most won't. Check all the entrances and exits, right? Make sure your cell phone's fully charged. Most agents will do that because they plan on playing Candy Crush for 3 hours. Still, bring a charger with you. Make sure it's fully charged. Make sure you have a signal. If you know you're going to be in a place that doesn't have great signal, and there's a lot of that in New England with certain providers, then you should definitely have somebody else with you. Turn on the lights. During COVID, and this is brilliant, and we should steal this practice and run with it. During COVID, just to keep people from continually opening everything, we got really good at lights on in the closet. If you have a closet, when you open the door, the light turns on, cool. Every door should be open, not the cabinets in the kitchen. That looks maniacal, right? They don't need to see all the bowls and the cereal. But every closet door should be open. So there's no reason, this was during COVID, there's no reason for 1 million people to be touching handles. Because that was a big thing, you didn't. So people got in the habit of all the lights are on, the house is heated appropriately, and every door is open. So people can inspect with their eyes. There's no need to touch anything. And I think if we carry that practice forward, it just shows them. So that for some of your listings is going to be a challenge because some people get ready for their open house and they throw their dirty laundry and all their dead bodies into a closet. So let them know if this turns out to be a practice of yours. Hey, Mr. Lindsay, just so you know, we open all the doors. So you're going to want your closet to be in some sort of order. Check your local COVID guidelines. We're pretty much now in New England for the most part. Hospitals just did it last week. Masks are off at hospitals. For the most part, we are back to pre-COVID operations. That being said, some people are never going to come all the way back. If you have a client that doesn't want to do an open house because of COVID, guess what? That's their wish. Or they want people to wear masks if they're going to come through the property. That's their wish. There's a conversation there to be had with them, sure. but not everybody feels the same as you do. And of course, follow market guidelines and checklists for open houses. Some towns don't let you put signs all over town. Some towns have ordinances that freak out. I live in Straftopia. My sister lives on the other side of town. She's over by Bow Lake. Their street doesn't allow you to put signs on the street at all. All the signs have to be outside of the neighborhood. So before your signs get pulled up by the town, make sure you check with the town. Veteran agents in that town will know what the rules are and how to help. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. Efficiencies will allow us to grow our business faster. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. And the myth that big is bad has to be followed by, with leverage, big is growth. So we want to prepare, prospect, and pursue. Preparation is figuring out the house, the time, getting the marketing tools ready, getting the market data ready. Prospecting is making sure that we use the tools that we have to get in touch with the people that we know are looking at the property already. And then pursuing that. So prepare. Most of the work for an open house is done the day before the open house. I said that wrong, I apologize. I was like, that can't be right. Most of the work for an open house is done before the day of the open house, yes. 7th level open house, page 71 in Shift. There is a week worth of activities in there. We want to prepare our mindset and practice our conversations. Here's your week. Monday, we decide what the house is, when we're going to do it. Tuesday, we start to put everything together. Tuesday, post online, walk the neighborhood, door knock, and invite people. Wednesday, post online again, install the yard signs. Depending on where the neighborhood is, and depending on what the town allows, as many signs as you can. We want to make it idiot-proof, said with love, for the civilians to find the property. Thursday, post online again. Invite the database. You go into MLS Prime, formerly Naren, and you can see client numbers. So you click on your listing, and you can see every civilian based on a client number that has actually looked at that property. It's tied back to the agent. I can call Allison, I can call Ken, I can call Kaylee, I can call Nate, I can call Jeff, all of our imaginary realtors. I'm going to call all those people and say, hey, based on the information in Prime, we're holding 123 Main Street open. I noticed that 7 of your clients have looked at that property more than 3 times in the last 3 days since it went live. I'd love to see you on Saturday. Let me know how I can help. It's going to be 10 to 12. Friday, post online again, prepare market stats, get the flyers ready, door knock one more time. The golden rule is 5, 5, 10 or 10, 10, 20. 10 doors to the left of the house, 10 doors to the right, 20 across the street. Door knock as much as possible. What clients like to know? Community and neighborhood information. What's the benefit of living there? Not the features. It's a nice house on a nice street with mature growth trees. Those are features. What's the benefit to the end user? What's in it for me? Relocation information. People are coming from away. We have people that pop into open houses that flew into town to go to open houses. They're coming from some other part of the country. They're spending a weekend driving around. First-time buyer specifics. Again, maybe you have Brad Kelly or somebody from his team with you at the open house. Or have them put information together to make it a no-brainer, get in touch with them. And additionally, because you have Brad or somebody from his team from Movement Mortgage in the building or readily accessible, there's mortgage information. People will usually pump the brakes when it starts to get real. They're browsing until they're pre-approved, then they're shopping. We want to get them out of browse and into shop. Empower them with the financial information they need to make a logical decision. Use the preparing for an open house checklist in your student workbook. Page 76 and 77. There's a ton of stuff here. Up to 3 days before the open house, the day before the open house, the day of the open house. Now, if you look at that list, that's a lot of stuff. That presents to be a ton of work. Also, a massive opportunity to turn this open house process into the tool that you use to get your next listing, to build your next open house. Prospecting. We're doing that to build trust and rapport, right? You're going to door knock. That's going to be the #1 way to prospect around an open house. Door knock the neighborhood. Have them physically meet you. Provide value when you knock, right? You have all the information about what's going on in the market, where the house is, insofar as where it stands in the market as far as price is concerned. Get information from people if you're door knocking. This might be your first time in the neighborhood. Maybe you're capturing information for the first time. Don't hesitate to take notes. Because you put that stuff in your database, the next time you have a listing in that neighborhood and you're door knocking again, you go back up, you knock on the door. Hey, Mr. Lindsay, it's Stacy from Keller Williams. Last time I was here, we talked about you guys moving in and blah, blah, blah. It was great because you joined us for the Joneses open house. We have another open house coming up. We've listed the Andersons. Mr. Lindsay, last time I was here, you said that you had moved here for the neighborhood and stayed for the school system. Has that changed? Is there something else that you've been endeared to by living here? Get people talking, make them feel heard and cared for. And qualify them. Where do they stand? We're probably moving 5 more years when the kids are done with school. Awesome. Now you know that. And you're going to keep showing up for the next 5 years. When they get to the house, greet everybody that comes in. This can get difficult if you get mobbed. This is why you should have more than one person for safety and leverage. Greet everyone that comes in the door. Good morning, so glad you could make it. Could you please fill out the sheet? If you're working with an agent, can you please write their name down so I can ask them if they have any if you have any questions? Find out why they're there. This is very important to invite other people. Not just the people that might be shopping, but who do you know that lives near your listing? Your friends that aren't even in the market. Just calling your friend Katie and her fiance Steve. Hey guys, I know you're not in the market. I just want to let you know I have an open house 2 streets over from you on Saturday. I'd love to see you. Your friends get to pop in. They get to see what you actually do for a living. And it creates a little bit of false excitement for everybody else. Because it's one more group in the building. It's more traffic. It builds the perspective that this is a popular destination. And above and beyond that, when your friends come up and they're talking to you, the other people don't know. They're like, oh my God, I think they're going to make an offer. We better make an offer. If nothing else, it lets your friends see what you actually do day in and day out. And it creates goodwill. And your friends who live close might know somebody who wants to live close. Let the neighbors do the heavy lifting for you and find your next buyer. And be positive. People walking in, it's raining out. Oh my God, it's so wet outside. It's so cold. Well, come on inside. We'll get water. We got coffee. Take your time. Don't rush back out. It's warm in here. So glad you could make it. Hey, I know the weather's not great, but if you love the house when it's raining, you're gonna adore it even more when it's sunny out. And again, your advertising, this is yes for the seller. Would you find a buyer today? That would be great. But we have to remember, we're using this piece of marketing that our team has to continue prospecting, to advertise to the universe that we are rock stars. Know your team stats. Know local market stats. From your DISC and your KPA, we talk about this all the time. Understand personality types. Somebody walks in and you say, hey, how's it going? They're like, good. And you can tell they're quiet. You can tell they don't want to make a lot of small talk. Don't bug them. Somebody wants to talk, keep talking. Mirror and match everyone who comes to the door. Engage with them appropriately. And have something for everyone who leaves so that they don't leave empty-handed. Again, if you have all your other listings information there, you're at listing number 1, you have 7 other listings. There should be listing packets for all those other properties. At least a hit sheet. So the people leaving your one listing know you have 7 other listings to go look at. And if some of them are open, you send them that way. The 7-level open house, the 7th level is holding multiple listings open at once to create more value for the end user, for the consumer. Capture the information and qualify the leads. Again, in COVID, we were able to say to everybody, hey, we require everybody signs in. So if we have to reach out, we find out that somebody tested positive, we can reach out to everybody that was in the property. That's not as prevalent anymore, but we can still say as a courtesy to the seller, we ask that everyone signs in. It's not crazy. Name, phone number, email. Would you like more information? And is there an agent you're currently working with? So we can start to engage with that agent and we don't step over the line and engage with another agent's client. The breach of the code of ethics, we don't do that. Use command. A lot of people have moved to digital sign-in sheets. It can be a quick Google form that people fill out that's on an iPad, or if you have a notebook there. Or you could simply have somebody sitting there as a second body, putting the information in for people. They're asking 4 quick questions. Name, phone number, email. Are you working with an agent? If they're not working with another agent, make sure they get your KW app. The consumer app, not the Command mobile app. That's for you. The consumer app is for the consumers. I know that's a stretch. So make sure when you go into your consumer app, you log in as a civilian, you use your personal email, timothyclindsay@gmail.com, and you select yourself as an agent. So when you share it, you share you as the agent to others. Ask questions, stay curious. Don't press, don't be pushy. But pushy is salesy. Questions are curious. Being curious makes them the topic of conversation. People feel heard and cared for when we ask them about them. Everybody's favorite topic is them. And remember, you're not there to hold the house open. You're holding the house open to get leads and appointments. We're sitting in a piece of our marketing to continue prospecting. We're sitting in a piece of our marketing to continue prospecting. And the worst thing that we do is we get these hit sheets filled out at the open house, and then we don't do anything with those leads. And you're thinking to yourself, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would somebody do that? I don't know. And it happens. Don't let it happen to you. Follow up and convert leads after the open house. You call all these people on that Monday. Hey, Mr. Lindsay, it's a pleasure to see you at 123 Main Street on Saturday. Just wanted to follow up, see if you guys had any more questions, or if you've extended your search. My team and I would love to assist. What were your thoughts about the property on Saturday? Or I'm calling the other agent if they're working with an agent. Hey, Stacy, it's Tim with Keller Williams. The Andersons came through on Saturday. They seem to really like the property. If they would like a second private showing, please let me know. If they have any other questions, please let me know. Sometimes you're doing that person a favor because they don't even know that their people were at your open house and you look like a freaking genius and a class act for keeping them top of mind. Presuming that they actually have them signed. And we can't go down that road. Somebody says they're working with another agent. We can't be like, show me your buyer's agency agreement. We don't do that. Reevaluate the goals you set. Did you succeed? What did you want? Did you want a certain amount of people to come through? Were you hoping to get at least one lead? Were you hoping to get by the end of the week a listing appointment out of the activities from the weekend prior? And based on your results, what would you change? What would you augment? What would you improve? What would you accelerate? Could you have done more prospecting? I had an open house and no one showed up. That shouldn't be a thing right now. Our lack of active listings should make every open house gangbusters. The one thing that would prevent it from being a great open house is your lack of communication and a horrible price. Listings sell when they are priced right. Print that shirt. So there's an open house playbook delivered from our friends in Texas. The QR code is on your screen. If you zap that, you can get your hands on the open house playbook, which breaks down the activities to do a great open house and prepare for it over the course of the week. Grab that QR code for the open house playbook from KW. I'll give you 3, 2, 1. Awesome. So we talked about best practices. We want to set goals, pick the house, prepare and practice, pick that time, make sure you're coordinating the timing of your open house to the neighborhood in which it is in. Is it near ball fields? Does Saturday morning make sense? Is it near a house of worship? Does Sunday make sense? Is it near a company? Does a commuter open house make sense? Between 4 and 6 to remind them how close it is to Liberty Mutual. Prepare those stats and be safe. Bring other people with you. Door knocking and open houses should not go it alone. Be safe. It's inexpensive. You already have the listing. There's a little bit of a financial offset, but you can probably get your allied resources to dig in on that. It's a prospecting tool. There's high return on investment. And then you get to qualify those leads. The whole entire reason you did it, to get more at bats. And God willing, find the buyer for your seller. More importantly, find more listings for your team. And prepare that day before. Prospect during the open house. Get those leads, qualify them, and then pursue them on the Monday after you're open. We want to make sure that we're doing our success system, having 10 conversations every day, adding those 10 conversations with permission to your database, sending them 10 handwritten notes. Don't forget the 10-5-1, 10 hearts or likes, 5 comments on people's social media, 5 comments of 5 words or more, and then one post, at least one post a day that brings value to the people when they see it. Something about the town in which you serve. Something they can't get anywhere else. Don't forget about the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, we have to use donotcall.gov to make sure that people are not on the do not call list. Best way to avoid that is call the people in your phone. If you are calling leads of unmets, you want to use donotcall.gov. It's going to be free for a couple of area codes. After that, there's going to be a price, no price bigger than $43,000 per violation. There's a whole page about this in the link at the bottom on KW Connect. You go to KW Connect and punch in do not call. You'll find all the information. Not a great way to spend your weekend. I engage in every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. A positive affirmation from Bold is they're home, they're happy, and they're going to list with me. What are you telling yourself every morning before you get started to remind yourself that you're valid and worth working with? Our next class is Wednesday. We're going to talk about capturing leads with social media. Questions before we jump? All right, guys, I appreciate it. There she is. Hey, Allison, what do you got? Anything? You're muted. All right.
I am muted. No questions, but excited for that one too.
Appreciate it. See you soon.